Narrative Paradigm of Walter Fisher by Chiara Carbonara. Narrative paradigm is a theory proposed by Walter Fisher in 1984. The theory was born by the introduction of the concept of good reason. In essence, he believed that providing good reason to a story is more convincing than piling up evidence and data. The paradigm was born by his conviction humans are more attracted by stories shaped by history, culture, and character. We are attracted by stories in which we identify with, and not just mere deliberations. He believes that, with the exception to phatic communication, all communication is narration because all stories are not pure of personal contribution. What is narration? Fisher defines narration as symbolic actions, words, and/or deeds that have sequence and meaning for those who live, create, and interpret them. Fisher explains that each story has a beginning, a middle, and it is the listener's task to assign meaning to the message. If there is no audience, there is no meaning, thus not communication. The narrative paradigm explains how humans assign meaning to stories. A paradigm is a conceptual framework, a universal model that calls for people to view events through a common interpretative lenses. Fisher's framework is built upon five assumptions. 1. People are storytellers. 2. We make decisions on the basis of good reasons, which vary depending on the communication situation, media, and genre philosophical, technical, rhetorical, or artistic. 3. History, biography, culture, and character determine what we consider a good reason. 4. Narrative rationality are determined by the coherence and fidelity of our stories. 5. The world is a set of stories from which we choose and thus constantly recreating our lives. Narration is validated only if it meets the criteria of coherence and fidelity. What is narrative coherence? To check if a story is coherent, we want to understand if the story is consistent with its character and storyline. If we are under the impression that the narrator omitted important details, lied, or the story is not just plausible, the story lacks of coherence. The story must have a logic that makes sense to us. The second rationale is fidelity. Fidelity happens when audience identifies with the values narrated in the story and elicits a resounding response in the line with those values. A story which meets the criteria can be a powerful means of persuasion and very effective tool of communication. This type of narration goes against the rational world paradigm that was used until Fisher's theory was formulated. The rational paradigm is rooted in science, while narrative paradigm is a romantic standpoint on communication. The textbook mentions the use of paradigm to explain Nazism and the rise of Hitler's 1930s Germany. While we have learned how horrible his actions were, Fisher noticed that Hitler's success in scapegoating the Jews ranks as one of history's most notorious acts of rhetoric, yet in its time and place it achieved both coherence and fidelity. How can we apply the narrative paradigm to life? This theory can be used to analyze the efficacy and efficiency of a message, for example a commercial, a political speech, or a friend telling a story. Let's take our friend. Have you ever thought one of your friends was lying to you when telling you a story? Or that he was hiding some particulars to you? You probably thought within yourself that your friend was not convincing and that you wanted to go deeper into it. Or simply the story was so fictitious you just lost trust in your friend. Or probably your friend's story lacked of fidelity and coherence. Thanks for the attention.